coming back to school with me. We could have done it all so easily.
Hi, my name is Craig Thompson-Wood. I'm the board game teacher. Thanks for coming to the classroom. Today we're taking a look at Ion, a compound building game by John J. Coview and Genius Games. Now, Ion, a compound building game, is an exciting game for me for a couple of reasons. First off, it was the first game that was donated to me for the channel by Genius Games. Now, I just want the viewers to know that I will be giving my honest review of what I feel of this game. Just because it was donated to me doesn't mean that I'm, going to let that cloud my judgment. I feel that I have a certain integrity to the teachers out there who are watching this to really give you an honest opinion as to what I think of this game. But, spoiler alert, it's awesome. The second thing I'm really excited about with this game is this is the first game which is exclusively for high school students. Now, I say exclusively, it does say that the ages are 8+, and it could play that young, but really with the material, the subject material here, if you're using it as a classroom tool, then I would really say that the material, the subject matter is for a high school level student rather than anything in primary or elementary, even junior high. So for the number of players, I give this game a B+. I think it plays from 2 to 7 players, and I think that is it's fun as a 2-player game. It's even better when you play with more players for the style of game that it is, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But 2 to 7 players is a great number, so that's why I give it a good rating with a B+. But to really reach that A level, I think you would want to be accommodating at least half the class, if not more, in one game, which this game isn't going to do, but still accommodates a good chunk of people, which is why I give it a B+. So for the learning, I give this game an A. And I give this game an A because as a person who discontinued my studies of science back in grade 10 of high school, I found myself learning so much science from this game. The game isn't one of those kinds of games that you might have typically have seen like 10, 20 years ago, like what is the atomic weight of argon and how many covalent bonds are in a blah 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 and whatever. No, this game, you're just playing a game that you are learning as you play it, and you're making the connections as you're making, bonding these elements into different things. Oh, I made NaCl, sodium chloride. Oh, I made salt. And those are things I've learned from the game. I didn't know these things before I played the game, but NaOH is soap. I'm learning these things, so it's wonderful. It's a great learning tool, and I think the learning that happens is amazing, and that's why I give it an A. I give the fun an A as well. I think that the game is fantastically fun. Now, card drafting, the main mechanic in this game is what's called card drafting. And I'll show more about that a little bit later, about how that works. But card drafting has to be probably my favorite, if not one of my favorite mechanics in a game. I love the whole drafting system. I just think it's so much fun. And so this is what it is, a card drafting game. If you are familiar with the game Sushi Go, it really felt like that to me, and a lot of other people I've played with have said the same thing. Very much like Sushi Go, but instead of with sushis, you're playing with elements, and you're building these compounds and such. And there's a little bit more to it, and there's other things you add into it as well. But it's a fun, fast game, and that's why I give it an A. As a side note, I would like to add that if you take into account that I'm looking at this game as a game. If you take into account of this game as a teaching tool, would I rather be teaching playing a game, or would I rather be teaching using a textbook? You could use either to teach the subject of polyatomic ions and compounds and neutrally charged compounds and noble gases. Both can do the job. But if you think about this game versus a textbook, this suddenly rockets up to an EG A+, or how many pluses you want to add, I don't know, but students every time I think would rather choose something like this to learn from. Sure, the textbook will be more efficient, will be more specific on things, but this is a great launching point into the thing. So I think hook them with the fun, get the lessons in afterwards, tie it all together, and you have a winner. I give the time an A. I think that the game takes between 20 to 30 minutes. Your average high school period is between 40 to 60 minutes. So that if you have the game set up by the time the students come in, you can quickly get to it, if it's a 60-minute period, you can easily play twice in one period once the students are familiar with the rules. Even in a 40-minute period, you can easily get at least one game in, and then maybe have some time for some discussion and things afterwards. It easily fits into one period of a high school science class, so A. For the cost, I give it a B+. I mean, as far as board games go nowadays, it's relatively cheap. I mean, you're going to be looking at about $20 to $25. LevelUp.ca doesn't have any of these in stock right now. She, as I believe, is in contact with Genius Games and will be getting them in soon. But I think they're going to run about $20 to $25, which is, as I say, a very good price for what you're getting here. The only downside is you probably want, if you're going to be doing this as a full class all at one time, you would be wanting multiple copies. Now, you could do centers or groups, and this could be one of the groups of things that people are playing, in which case then, yeah, one copy is going to do you just fine, and then it's a great buy. So now let's take a look at how the game is played. I'm not going to do a full run-through of the rules and all the rules, but what I will do is just give you a quick sense of how the game plays, and then you can maybe go to Genius Games, because John Covey does a great job about teaching how the game is played and doing a full rules tutorial. So I'll leave him to do that. I'll just give you a quick sense here of how it goes. So in a game of Ion, every player is going to be dealt a hand of 8 cards to start. There will be 3 cards put out for a game with 5 or more players. Otherwise, you will only have 2 if there's less than 5 players. These are the goals of things that you're working to try to build. In the game, you're trying to create neutrally charged compounds, and the way that you do that is simply taking a card, noticing whether it has a plus or a minus on it. So this one has a plus. If I add a card with a minus to it, like so, I have 1 plus, 1 minus, therefore I now have a neutral compound. And it's really that simple. Once I have a neutral compound, I can now score the points at the bottom of the card. So this pair has now given me 6 points. This also happens to be the matching set of symbols for the soap here. So NaOH, and I have NaOH. So now, not only do I get the 6 points for that, I also get 2 points because I've matched one of the 2. On the goals here, if you match 1, you get the 2 points. If you match both on one card, you get 5. Some cards will have 2 plus, in which case you need 2 minuses on it. Now, both minuses have to be the same card. I can't take a different kind of minus, like fluoride, and put it onto the end. It has to be 2 of the same kind. Add to that, now this will grant me 11 points. Now the real trick here, as I said, this game is a card drafting game. So it's not so simple for me to just say, okay, well I've got this, this, and this, and I'll put all these cards down. Those are my sets. No, no, no. What happens in the game is you are going to take one card, put it down, face down in front of you, and then pass the cards to the person sitting next to you. But now, once every person has chosen one card, they then pass their cards on to the next person. Everybody then reveals their cards, and now I take the new deck that was given to me. So I know what I've passed on, and I can hope that maybe some of those cards come back to me again, but otherwise now I have a whole different set of cards, and where I have the Na and I was hoping for that OH, I don't have it anymore. So now I have to look at what else can I build. Now when you put the next card down, you have to make the choice right then and there. Are you putting it as a separate element, or are you going to bond it? In this case, I could bond these two elements together, giving me a neutral compound. I have a plus and a minus, which then gives me a neutral compound. Unfortunately, though, sodium chloride, aka salt, is not up here. It's not going to grant me any bonus points. So I have to decide whether I want the 7 points now, or do I want to hold out and hope for more points if I bond it with something that's going to match one of my goals. You do have opportunities to use these tiles to manipulate. I can take 2 cards from the deck. I could take a card from the center. There will be, I forgot to put them out. You can put 4 cards in the center here. So maybe I can take one of these 4 cards from the center instead. So I might just leave it. I take one card, and you just keep passing on, and using the cards to try to build these compounds. Again, each turn you're drafting one card, and passing them on, and each person's doing the same. Everybody's going for the same goals, trying to achieve the same objectives. The noble gases are already neutral compounds, so if you have one of the noble gases, you get 2 points. If you have 2 of the noble gases, so if I had neon and helium, I could get 5 points for that. And if I had the third noble gas, which is argon, I would get 9 points. You see how much I'm learning? I know argon is a noble gas, even though it's not here in front of me. Once the cards are drafted, you score for that round. You then play 3 rounds, and at the end of the 3 rounds, whoever has the most points is the winner. What's important, as I said, to note is you have these tiles here. Take from the center, select 2, and RXN. Take from the center allows you to take a card from the center here. Select 2 allows you to choose 2 cards from your hand. And RXN allows you to pull apart your previously bonded elements, rearrange them, and possibly steal one from an opponent. But each of these can only be done once. Once it is done, then you can't use it again, and this is also negative points for the end of the game. So choose wisely when you're going to do these, because you can only do it once, and it's going to cost you. But the game, as I say, is very simple, because really what it comes down to a lot of is matching plus and minuses. Make sure you have the right amount of pluses and minuses for each compound that you're building. Checking to see if you are matching it to any of the goals that are there. And maybe scoring some noble gases, and then learning about what it is that you just made as you put these things together. There are extra cards in the deck for polyatomic ions, for base metals and radioactivity. Those are, you can add on to the base set or not, depending on what you feel comfortable with. I was just starting with the base game, have some fun with that, and when you play that a few times, start introducing some of the other ones for some extra challenges. But that is, in a nutshell, how Ion, a compound building game, is played. So in conclusion, I just want to say, if you're a high school science teacher, I would highly recommend that you go check out Genius Games. Not only because of Ion, a compound building game, but all of the other games and all of the other books and things that they have out there that are just teaching and taking the teaching, making the learning fun. For high school level stuff, like I said, there's stuff on, there's Ion, there's a game called Cytosis, which is about cellular biology. A lot of great resources out there to just make the learning fun. And again, that has been my whole mandate all my years as a teacher, but especially now as the board game teacher on YouTube. I want to look at what can we do to make the learning fun, and Genius Games, they're getting it right. Well, that's going to be it for today. Until next time, I'm Craig Thompson Wood, the board game teacher, saying thanks for coming to the classroom.
Are you coming back to school?